Hi everyone, Shell here again. So today I've come to my local woodland, so a little bit further away from home, and I've come on a little forest bathe. So forest bathing is a therapeutic practice that was created in the 1980s in Japan, and it was created as a preventative health measure. To help keep people healthy, and there's been lots of studies on the practice and what benefits it's had for people, and so it is a backed up practice as well, and there's been loads of research on the benefits of just submerging ourselves in nature. There's loads out there. They've found that even touching the soil, like breathing in the microbes, helps us to produce more serotonin in the body, keeping us happier. Even 15 minutes spent in a woodland, your stress levels start to come down, your heart rate lowers. So yeah, it's a really wonderful practice to keep coming to. Obviously we spend a lot of our time, most of us, away from nature, kind of wrapped up in our daily lives that we have to do, and our mind might be constantly kind of going. So it's a wonderful practice to just come and just be again, just try and kind of blend back in with our surroundings and nature. Hopefully you just saw them birds flying overhead. So forest bathing, if you watch my 6-spot video, it's a little bit longer and maybe a little bit further away. So my 6-spot before was on my allotment, somewhere really accessible for me to go, kind of easy to get to. This is my local, or one of the local woodlands nearby, and I started kind of on my journey walking up the roads. I started noticing the plants in people's gardens, so noticing that all the part of the journey was part of this process. My mind was still kind of thinking about what was going on in my life. This morning when I was on my way here, how I was still feeling in my body. I've got a sore arm and a sore ear. Just trying to acknowledge these feelings. I wasn't trying to get rid of them. That's very important. That we're not trying to push away anything, and that's we're not trying to just be happy or just peaceful all the time. Having these habits and practices helps us to cope better with the challenges in our life, but of course it's not going to get rid of our challenges, and that's just part of life. And as I started to kind of walk into the woodlands, I started to slow down a little bit, to breathe a little bit deeper, to take in my surroundings a little bit more. Noticing more of what I could see, the light coming through the trees, the colours, the new shoots coming up through the snow on the ground, the old leaves still on the branches, the patterns and the colours on the bark of the tree. Just trying to see nature as like a whole as far as I could see. Tried to slow down my walking, and even though I carried on walking through the woods, I noticed that I was kind of still going fast, trying to get to a certain place I had in my mind, and then I started to follow where I felt like going in this moment rather than where I thought I should get to. Trying to open up like in a childlike way. So when you're still full of wonder and maybe you're stopping and you're noticing things, and for me when I was a kid, I was always relating things to fairies. So yeah, just kind of dropping back into that sense of play. We can sometimes get a bit stuck on trying to know everything, which is also amazing and great, but trying to let go of that a little bit. So there might be a plant and you don't know exactly what species of plant that is, or it might be a bird and you don't know which bird that is, but just trying to greet these things that you meet on your journey. And maybe you'll see it again and again if you keep coming back to the same spots, and you notice different things, and you can get to know these plants even without knowing maybe the scientific name or the proper name for these plants. So just knowing it's okay to not know everything, because we're not going to know everything. There's so much to learn, but that's what keeps it interesting. So when you've gone on a little bit of a walk, just kind of using your intuition to maybe where you want to go. So they say with forest bathing you should take about 2 to 4 hours to cover like a half a mile distance. So that's really, really slowing it down, taking the time to stop, to just be. So you might find when you're walking, you're kind of turning it more into like a walk, which again is really beneficial. It's really beautiful to walk. But the forest bathing is about kind of being in the wood rather than kind of getting from A to B or just taking a hike. So if you notice yourself kind of speeding up, then just slowing it back down. So on my walk, I picked up a stone, and I took a bit of time to notice the different shapes along the edges of the stone, and the colours in the stone. And it kind of glitters a little bit. I don't think you can see. Just tried to think a little bit about how old this stone is and about its life, and felt the feeling of it. So it's cold. It's quite rough. And I started to, I put it in my hand and I took it with me a little bit on my journey. And then I gave my worries to the stone. So it might sound a little bit strange, but I asked the stone to hold my worries for me. And I took it and carried on until I found a space where I was going to stop and be still. So I'm at my space to be still right now. So I'm just going to turn the camera up to the tree so that you can just see the nature instead of me. So this stone, I can either, if I'm going to lay back on my tree, I might put it on my heart, or I might just put it beside me, just to hold my worries while I'm here so I can let go. So just starting to breathe a little bit deeper again. And I'm starting to notice what I can hear, all the sounds that are close by, and the ones that are far away as well. Trying to pinpoint which direction these sounds are coming from. But then I'm going to practice trying to listen to that sound as a whole as well. It's a whole sound together. So I can hear the water trickling, the birds. I think I can actually hear the road as well. But again, not trying to push that away. Just observing it. And then I'm going to start to notice the feel of the tree beneath my bum, my sense of touch. Notice the feel of the clothes on my body, the cold on my skin. and see what I can taste in my mouth. I can taste little bits of the tea that I had before. Gonna see what I can smell, or notice if I can smell anything. It smells quite earthy. I'm near quite a boggy area, so I can smell a little bit of damp. And then I'm going to take in what I can see here as well. So the different shapes in the branches above, the way the tree is moving, or I can see a little bit of moss in the tree blowing in the wind because it's hanging down. I can see lots of different colours on the floor. There's snow on the floor, and there's little bits of brown and orange and green from the rhododendron and the moss, and white in the sky. There's icicles where the water is dripping down. And there's birds darting around as well, so I'm noticing their behaviour. They seem quite calm, just going about their day to day. And one thing I like to do is think about how nature is viewing me. A friend said that to me once. How is nature observing you? So sometimes we're always observing nature, or thinking about how we're observing it, but switching that around. Because we are part of it. You might notice a change in your mood. You might not as well, that's fine. So just stay in your this place where you're going to be still for 20 minutes at least, maybe that a little bit longer. So I'm going faster for the sake of this video, and so I've picked my stone back up, and again I'm just feeling how it felt to give my worries to the stone and how it feels to pick it back up. So I've got an option now of what to do with the stone. So I could take it back with me, I could put it in my pocket, I could leave it in this sweet spot, thanking the stone for taking hold of my worries. And I could choose to take those back, or I could choose to ask the stone to take it, leave it with it. I could put it in water. It seems quite a nice thing to do, to cleanse it. I feel like my worries are washing away in the water. So just picking what you might want to do with your stone. So I've noticed some other things just around me while I'm just sat on this tree. So got like a little seed from a ash tree. So I'm just going to make a little picture around my stone with these natural objects. So you can take as long or as little as you like if you wanted to do that as well. So I found a few, they're kind of like little skeletons of the seed pod. So I'm just placing that around, just take a little bit of time to do that. And if you were with somebody, if you came with anybody on a forest bathe, maybe you could do some light conversation here, just discuss how that was, what came up, only sharing what you feel like sharing. Of course you can keep things to yourself, Or maybe if you've got a journal with you, now would be a good time to write any observations of yourself or of nature. You know, how long you stayed, where you came, what the weather was like, what nature you saw, how you felt. And then traditionally in forest bathing, they would have a tea ceremony now. So I've just brought a flask of tea with me, and I'm not trying to, do a tea ceremony, but using it as a way of, so it could be tea or a light snack, and it's just a way of kind of completing your practice, a little bit of a step before you kind of come back to your everyday life. So I'm going to sit here, I'm going to have my tea, and then I'm going to walk quite mindfully still, quite a little bit slower through the woodlands, and then probably pick up my pace a little bit as I walk on my journey home. But I'll probably notice things as I'm going home, like in people's gardens. I noticed I was doing that on the way here. Don't know if I said that before. Just knowing that's all part of your journey as well, starting to kind of wind down or wind back in into your everyday life. So yeah, if you go on a forest bathe, feel free to share your experience with us. That would be nice. And I'll see you again. Thank you. Bye.